it's significant, deep, and requires both science and art, which in itself, the effort is tremendous. And it's actually the flair, the capacity to connect to the client is fundamental. So why I think the psychiatrists avoid doing that, because it actually is another profession. Actually, it takes as much time to be a good psychologist or a psychotherapist or therapist, whatever name you use. It takes as much time to be a psychiatrist, because of course they give a pill to a client, and of course they look for side effects, for the readouts and so on. And of course, again, they are complementing many times with the therapist approach, because it enables a window of more probably better effect of the psychotherapy to the client. It opens that gate, and back maybe the medicine might work better. Many times actually there are clinical trials which they show that actually adding psychotherapy to a client, the effect is like tremendously improved. And so now I come to the third level, which I found as interesting. I think hypnotherapy, from little what I know and I experienced, which I had the opportunity with Carmen, which is absolutely stunning and amazing, that truly I feel that the effect is real, and I think we need to bring more science to this, at least aware. I think we need to do a bit of an inventory, but what I'm trying to say is that the psychotherapy effort is tremendous and real, and it requires talent and dedication, and that's why many psychiatrists can't do that. They don't have time, they don't have the inclination, because the interaction. And I would say that hypnotherapy is yet the third level of dedication and art and science, which almost to me it's the same distance between psychotherapist and like a psychiatrist. I think hypnotherapy is the third level, which requires almost as much dedication in order to really be efficient at it. I think it takes both knowledge, perception, scientific understanding, and actually something more even than normal. I don't think that anyone can be psychotherapist. It requires a very interesting mixture of knowledge, but also of personality, being to some extent empathizing with the client, but also maintaining yourself in a realm that you can be helpful. So I apologize for keeping so long, but I feel that the hypnotherapy requires effort, and that's why a lot of psychologists or therapists don't do it, because it's not easy. You can't just do it overnight. You can't become like a hypnotherapist like overnight. So that's all what I was trying to say, that it requires effort, and many psychotherapists would require time, and is not at ease to get into that. That's all. That's one of my comment. I have some more as usual. I mean, I can.
Okay, that's a good point. Randy, you want to add something to it, because you've been in a business forever, and we want to mention. Go ahead.
I almost said, I didn't almost say it, but what was in my mind was psychiatrists don't do psychotherapy because they can't make any money from it. They can make a lot more money prescribing pills, and they do, than they can do in psychotherapy. So they'll never get it. That's what I want. But I think one thing we ought to talk about at some point is what's being called the myth of the magic pill. That there's going back to long before, really around the days of Prozac is when it started, but the idea that going to see a psychiatrist or any doctor and getting a magic pill, magic mushrooms, I can't.
Okay, the word that is hard. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce.
And TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation, ketamine therapy, Aeschylus, all that stuff goes into a basket that's been called the myth of the magic pill. That if we find that one thing that'll fix what's wrong in my brain, then everything will be happy. And I just go back, I'm old enough, one of the benefits of being old is that you go through all these cycles. And I just remember when Prozac came out, it was on the cover of Newsweek.
I have some.
Depression was over. That was the end of depression. Because Prozac was going to fix it. And it was over. And psychiatrists were concerned, not only all of them, but there was a book written about Prozac. And it was a psychiatrist, he wanted to put a drinking water because they had few side effects. Actually, that's terrible side effects. But it could benefit any and everybody. Well, that was 30 years ago. And depression's worse than ever. I just read an article yesterday about how adolescent depression is the worst it's ever been. Teenage suicide is the #1 cause of death.
Well, social media has a lot to do. Social media has a lot to do with teenagers' depression. Yes.
And there was this pill was going to fix that. So anyway, it'll be an interesting topic.
Yeah.
If I can add something to.
I don't mean that's all I mean is we're preaching.
So if I can add just very briefly something. So it's known that actually 60% of the patients do not respond to first round of antidepressants. Actually, it takes up to 1 year to really find maybe something which really works, which is it's expensive and frustrating for patient, of course, first for the physician to, and of course, what you were saying makes a lot of sense. A psychiatrist see a patient in 15 minutes and give the pill, then later refilling takes 3 minutes, and of course the charge is the same, $200-300 for 3 minutes. So it makes a lot of sense that effort is not there. It's the incentive to stay 1 hour with the client to get like quarter of the price economically makes no sense. So I agree with that. But I have another point which I want to add. So why this doesn't work, and why a pill doesn't work in itself, and why even psychotherapy and the therapeutical approach from the therapists need supplementation and augmentation, and why it might work also better, also adding hypnotherapy, is because we are built for resilience, and that resilience showed up in our way to resist change. So that's why almost there is no disease which you can just use a single drug that you can cure it. Very few are these kind of cases. Okay, when you have a bacterial infection, but in general, our body, that's why there is no anti-cancer treatment which is efficient. We are, and even in this realm, I feel that the resilience of our mechanism, like underlying mechanism, is there, and means you need to tackle it through multiple pathways to really try to make a difference in long term. And
Yes, that's a great point.
and another point which I made add, and I will listen to you guys. I apologize for talking too much, but I really feel that DSM-5, and one of the biggest challenges that actually the most of the diseases in psychiatry are mostly clinical symptomatology. They are not really cause-based. Like DSM-5 has almost no definition which are rooted in the real cause of it, like underlying mechanism, whether it's neurobiological or genetic or whatever. A lot of diseases might have a multiple root starting point or developing mechanism, and therefore just addressing the symptoms might be challenging. So, I mean, it's in itself a complex realm which you operate, and adding little adding extra layers of avenues, I think that can be at least more promising and more opening, and that's how I feel about it.
Yes, and we want to make sure that we're not beating up on psychiatrists because they have their hands full, and
definitely.
dealing with psychosis and hallucination and lack of lack of conscious awareness is the most difficult job. If anybody has the most difficult job on the planet, it will be a psychiatrist. So it is not in the scope. It is not in their scope of practice to provide finding the inner self. So in those kinds of instances with severe psychosis and delusions, medicine works well. And if it works well, and if any medicine works well for you, by all means, you know what works best for you. I do not like hearing from anybody that you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that and don't try this and don't go to that person, not that person, don't try this. No. If something resonates with you and you feel you're curious and you want to give it a try and see if it's going to help you, by all means, giving it a try and see if it works for you, because this scientific proof that you need is within you. You know how you feel about it. Do you feel a little clearer? Do you have more clarity? Because what do you do with clarity? With clarity, not only you begin to make a union of all of the layers of the I self and the me self and reintegrate the parts and begin to heal yourself, but you make better decisions. And if someone keeps you in their therapy and you haven't achieved clarity at a certain number of sessions, then you might want to ask yourself, why haven't you achieved clarity just yet? Because the very first thing that I've achieved in my journey of self-improvement and all of my long journey, it was clarity. It was like, oh, wow, oh, this is how this works. Oh, this is what I can do. Yes. And another example of clarity that in habits, for example, like you have a client that wants to lose weight, and you can't, in losing weight with hypnosis, you can't be doing the same thing with stopping smoking, because smoking is toxic and no more smoking. It's easy to work with that. But with losing weight, you can't guide someone to not eat, because food is essential. You have to eat. So that is a bit more difficult of a task to do, right? So how do you guide someone that snacks all the time and they want to stop snacking? Well, maybe I can direct them to drink more water more often. Why? Because water is, drink more. Randy, we can't hear you again. Let's see. How about now? There's a lot of technology here. Okay, you're good. All right, now you're good. No, I don't know what you clicked on. Somebody must have clicked there. Okay, I'm gonna try something else on my speaker. Hang in here. Technology is just, that's it. You're good here. And I'm checking my settings over here. Yes. Okay. What about now? Let's see. Give it a try now. Now we can see your mouth moving, and that's that. You are gorgeous. We can put you on a phone again like last time. But see, this is interesting. All of this technology, it's worked earlier and now it doesn't. Why? Well, we don't know, because this technology, there's so many gigabits and megabits and a 1 and a 0 and a 1 and a 0 through all of the cables.
But they're easier than humans, I can guarantee you.
Well, of course they're easier.
They're more predictable. We can figure out why the computers are messed up. It's more difficult to find out why humans. I mean, there is so much intricacy in humans' ways of becoming and stuff. So
yeah, Randy, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna give you a call right now. Let's get you over the phone and we can give this a try. Let's see. So what was your other question?
It was about what you were saying. It was about one of your slides before. I like that kind of like conscious and unconscious part of your, when you put abstract thoughts, imagination, visual, and you kind of delineated the the inner world with the outer world, I thought was very interesting. How would you inventory and kind of like determine? Oh, you're bringing some PowerPoint here.
I will slowly.
It's okay if it's not possible, because
go ahead.
maybe we
I
can
will
talk
get to
next
it.
time about it, because I need to. I kind of like that inventory there, and that you delineated that line on the circle, because it's kind of like important to see where the delusion occurs. You might help the client understand what am I perceiving and what's the reality, what's in my sensory realm, what's in my inner realm, and what is real. I think there are three things. So yeah, I think this one was
Yes.
pretty interesting.
Yes, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I love
as
this. I don't know if
And one more
Randy doesn't
second.
see it. But
Okay.
I'm
All right.
gonna have to go because I gotta go call.
Okay,
a
okay,
friend
okay.
Who has a birthday, but
Okay. Thank you, Randy.
thank you.
good
Thank
conversation.
you. Thank you. Thank
Be
you.
good. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
See y'all later.
All right. Bye. All right. So we are going to.
They are
let me
stopping
bring.
recording.
No.